On this video, I'm going to show you the most common mistakes writers make with their dialogue and how you can fix these issues in your script using a simple but proven 4-step method. I get paid to read and evaluate scripts. Now, here's what I see when I read ineffective dialogue in a script. I see thin characters, I see boring exposition, I see preachy messages that will take any audience out of the story. And I also see these characters try to tell the story to the audience through the dialogue rather than show it to them through their actions. And I see writers who try to show how clever they are with their dialogue instead of showing how skilled they are at telling their stories. One of the most common mistakes I see in scripts involves characters who explain the setting or rules of the world to the audience through dialogue. For instance, if you're writing in a fantastical setting such as sci-fi or fantasy or horror, the audience needs to know the rules and limitations of how this world works and how it differs from the real world. Now, some writers will show one character lecturing another on how things work. We call this an as you know lecture. Now, these lectures can be informative and educational. They can also be cripplingly boring and slow your story to a snail's pace. For instance, in Blade Runner, Deckard's ex-boss Bryant explains to Deckard how replicants have only a 4-year lifespan and no emotions. Now, as an experienced replicant hunter, Deckard should know this as part of his job, but this explanation isn't for Deckard, it's for the audience. Now, one of the most effective ways to convey the rules to the audience involves showing them what happens when someone breaks those rules. For instance, in the original Ghostbusters, Spengler explains what happens if they cross the streams to the proton pack. Something along the lines of every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light. However, he only explains this after they try to shoot Slimer. The audience has seen how the proton packs work, so this information makes an impact on them then and sets their expectations for the final battle later. Also, in Inception, Cobb explains the rules of dream manipulation to Ariadne. And at the same time, he breaks those rules when he sees Mal. The audience understands these rules and the consequences of breaking them when they see how Cobb endangers himself and Ariadne. Now, don't just tell the audience your rules and expect them to remember. Show them what happens when the characters break those rules. Another issue I notice involves characters telling each other exactly how they feel about each other or the world or themselves. Now, in the real world, telling someone exactly how you feel can be a step toward building a healthy relationship. And in screenwriting, it'd be a step off a cliff that can kill your story's dramatic tension. One of the most egregious examples of this occurs in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Anakin confesses his love for Padme. He tells her,
"I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me."
Now, this approach to dialogue shows about as much subtlety as outer space has breathable air. Now, the best way to avoid this on-the-nose dialogue is to have the character respond to emotional questions by deflecting. For instance, the opposite of the clunky dialogue in Attack of the Clones appears in the romantic comedy Crazy Stupid Love. Cal and Emily are a recently divorced couple. Despite his best efforts and despite her cheating on him, Cal can't let go of his feelings for his now ex-wife. She calls him about relighting the pilot light on the water heater in their basement, and he guides her through the process on the phone. There's only one problem. Cal stands outside the house and sees that she's not in the basement, and she's nowhere near the water heater. Now, their conversation about the water heater isn't about relighting the water heater. It's about how much they love and miss each other. Another example appears in Good Will Hunting. When their therapy session begins, Sean tries to express his caring for Will, while Will conveys his disdain for Sean and the entire therapeutic process. Sean tries to get Will to focus, while Will pushes him away. When Will tells Sean that he maybe married the wrong woman, he gets a reaction from Sean, which ends the session and threatens the whole therapist-client relationship. Now, don't just have your characters spill their guts. Have them use their words as weapons to gut their opponent. Now, if you've found this information helpful so far, I have a free masterclass on building compelling characters. Now, this class offers many more insights on improving your writing and especially your dialogue, and how each aspect of your characters can pull an audience into your story. You can go to school.com/storyintoscreenplay. That's SKOOL.com/storyintoscreenplay, or click the link below in the description. Now, if on-the-nose dialogue sits at one end of the bad dialogue spectrum, the overuse of clever lines sits at the other. While on-the-nose dialogue communicates the character's emotions to the audience, clever dialogue often tries to convey the writer's feelings about their story, setting, and characters. Now, this approach often stems from a writer's desire for recognition. Look at what I wrote. Look at how witty I am. Look at me. Please love me. Now, one writer known for his witty dialogue is Joss Whedon. Whedon's writing shows what happens when every character, regardless of age, race, or gender, speaks like a suburban teenage girl. It's one thing for Tony Stark to sound like Tony Snark. It's another for every character to get a joke, a quip, or a one-liner just to stay on par with the rest of the cast. Now, if Tony Stark is an iconic character due to his witty dialogue, no other character expresses the polar opposite better than Forrest Gump. The appeal of his dialogue often stems from the reactions of others to his insightful questions and his common sense proclamations more than his wit or vocabulary. Now, many writers also cite award-winning screenwriter Aaron Sorkin as an inspiration for clever dialogue. The difference in Sorkin's approach lies in how his dialogue comes from his characters organically rather than as an affectation he puts on to show off his writing skills. For instance, in the famous courtroom scene in A Few Good Men, Jessup's speech about code, honor, loyalty reflects both his belief in the rightness of his action and his disdain for people like Caffey and Weinberg who question those beliefs. Now, don't make the characters speak for you. Your job is to give them the means to speak for themselves. Another noticeable issue I see involves how each character sounds the same. Same phrases, same tempo, same line length. This approach robs each character of their individuality and drains the scene of its dramatic tension. Now, here's some questions for you. Does the professor talk the same way as a student? Does a parent sound like a child? Does a military officer speak like a civilian? For instance, in The Adam Project, young Adam has the same smart, snarky sense of humor as his older counterpart. Now, while this effect can be funny at first, it can also be jarring as the story goes on. A dialogue is often as much a function of training, experience, and education as it is a tool to achieve a goal or fulfill a need. To use another Star Wars film as an example, for instance, in The Empire Strikes Back, the fastidious C-3PO notes that the odds of
successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Meanwhile, the reckless Han Solo responds,
"Never tell me the odds."
Dialogue can also serve as a function of how each character deals with emotional trauma. For instance, in Thunderbolts, Yelena and Alexei take different approaches to their shared trauma. Yelena talks to her father as little as possible, while Alexei brags about work he doesn't have. Don't make all your characters sound the same. Give them each a unique way of speaking that makes them stand out to the audience. So, how can you avoid these mistakes in your dialogue? You start by giving each character a vote. That's VOTE. Now, vote stands for V for victory. This answers the question, what goal does your character want to accomplish? The O stands for obstacles. Now, this answers the question, what stands between your character and their victory? The T stands for tactics. Now, this answers the question, what do they do or say to overcome the obstacles and achieve the victory? And E stands for emotion. This answers the question, what emotional need drives them to pursue that victory? Now, when you define each of these aspects for each character in your story, you can see the purpose behind what they say and how they say it. And when that purpose comes through in every line, the audience picks up on it. The audience wants to see if the speaker gets what they want, or failing that, what they'll say next to get it. Each element of the vote will naturally bring your character's dialogue to life for you. You'll learn more about who they are and how what they want impacts what they say. Now let's use the V for victory element as an example. Most of the time, the characters will say outright what they want. I want my $2. I want my house to be seen from space. I just want to dance. Now in Rocky knows he can't meet Apollo Creed, the world heavyweight champion. However, he tells Adrian,
All I want to do is go to distance.
He wants to stay on his feet after 15 rounds. One of the reasons Aaron Sorkin's scripts often have memorable dialogue stems from his approach of intention and obstacle. He knows what each character wants to achieve with that line and what stands between them and achieving it. Now, most dialogue issues aren't really issues with the dialogue. Most dialogue issues arise from character issues. Thin, underdeveloped characters deliver stiff, ineffective dialogue. Now, characters with a clear vote deliver dialogue that moves the story forward, escalates dramatic tension, and keeps the viewer hooked on every word. Now, if you want to write characters who deliver memorable, impactful dialogue, you can sign up for my free masterclass on character development. Click the link below in the description. Now, until next time, keep writing, and remember, your story matters.